In the world of self-help and motivational uh, techniques, first and foremost, there's a recent idea going around that motivation is a construct, a fallacy. Um, that finding motivation is not something you do. It's just it happens. I'm gonna level this up. Anyway, um, so in the concepts of getting things done, so to just put it in generic terms here, there's an idea called friction, and from all of us out there who have taken high school science, understands that friction is the resistance felt between two opposing or two adjacent surfaces. Um, that in terms of resistance to motion. That's why it's called friction, and not counterforce. But it is technically a counterforce. So when it comes to doing things like your chores or your exercises or your project work that you're dealing with, um, friction is all the things that get in the way of you doing that. For instance, why is sitting on the couch watching television so much easier to do than getting up and washing the dishes? Well, because you're doing less work sitting on the couch watching television, even though you may in fact be expending the same amount of calories as doing the dishes, sitting, you know, as a kind of thing, depending on how active you are or interactive you are with your TV. Um, if you're like my old grandma, during a wrestling matches, she would get up and jump up and down and stuff like that. She got a lot of exercise watching wrestling with my grandma. It was awesome. But in any case, so yeah, you pretty much are going to be burned about the same calories. So there's not a there's a thing that's called payoff or gains. So you have the friction, which is the things that get in the way of trying to do, or what you want to do, or what you should be doing, or what you could be doing, and then you have the incentives. So when the incentives aren't as high or greater than the friction involved in doing the thing, you're not going to do the thing. Oh shit, I forgot. Oh no, now I got that asshole in my face. I'm trying to get I'm trying to get actual pulse rifle kills here. I'm trying to see if this lost sector has better gains than um, than just standing at the door of Shirochi and just blazing away at hordes of Taken. Um, because here at least I am able to have some kind of variety in my movements. Um, the enemies are not as annoying because they can jump all over the fucking place, and I have problems tracking enemies. Uh, but in any case, so yeah, so friction getting in the way of doing the dishes versus watching television, or folding the laundry versus watching television. Reading a book. Reading a book is actually pretty low friction. Is pretty has got some friction in it. There's Watching television is easier than even reading a book, because in reading a book you've got to actually mentally be aware of what's going on with the book and tracking all these different plot points and stuff like that. Whereas most television, it's kind of like scene to scene, they do a recap for you, so you're always on the game. You never have to like think back to stars above kind of situation. Um, so when it comes to gaming in terms, why do I play video games as opposed to tabletop games? Well, honestly, the tabletop game doesn't have any more friction than the video game does. The time between load screens is comparable to the time to set up each of your sides. Most tabletop games do require another person, whereas in video games, I don't have to worry about finding anybody else to play with. I can, for the most part, play by myself. Although some of the tabletop games that I do play are solo and co-op modes as well. Like for instance, I have Ironsworn. Ironsworn requires me to break out a book, the Ironsworn rules, some dice, two D10s and a D6 at the minimum, uh, and my character sheet and a little notebook which is tracking my character's adventure. So friction doesn't come from the setup because the time it takes me to set up a game of Ironsworn, it takes about the same time to power up the console, load up the game, and then load into the character. Um, and honestly, of the games I play, getting into an activity in Destiny is a hell of a lot faster than Mobile Suit Battle Operation, if I'm playing PvP, that is, or Elder Scrolls Online. The load up time to Elder Scrolls Online is the longest of the three games I'm using as examples here. Um, but the getting into activities in Elder Scrolls is fastest. So your setup time is longer, but your engagement time is a whole lot shorter. Whereas with Destiny, your setup time is comparable to that of Mobile Suit Operation, but your engagement time is a little bit slower than going to say for Elder Scrolls. And Elder Scrolls, once you're in the world, you're playing. You're gathering resources, you're crafting material, you're crafting items, you're farming dungeons, you're doing stuff. You don't have to wait for a lobby to go do a delve. You can just walk into a public delve it's basically like a lost sector, and other players can join you there, ad hoc, and then you can group for that instance and run around the dungeon doing things together. And then you can actually live group right there. If I wanted to, I could actually let players join me um, as I go through the dungeon, and we get shared experience, 10% bonus. And I've done that a few times actually, especially when there's been new zones added and everyone's running around trying to do stuff. And of course, then your clan base is a lot. Your guilds are a lot more interactive than I would say clans are. It's just Elder Scrolls Online is a true MMORPG. While the setup is the longest of it, the amount of engagement is a lot quicker to get into. So the friction balances out. Not to mention the incentives to complete missions and activities in Elder Scrolls are a bit higher because not only is there gear that I can use for my own character, I only play one, but if I have extra gear or duplicate gear, I can sell it through the guild for in-game currency, gold. So there's a lot of benefit to playing it. So then why aren't I in Elder Scrolls right now as opposed to being in Destiny? Well, because in Elder Scrolls my character is more or less set up and has his reached a plateau in his development. The next step out is to acquire a bunch of champion points and fill in the constellations so that I can go ahead and unlock further power levels. And that would take a bit more questing than what I'm doing right here, which is basically just leveling my catalyst here for the Outbreak Perfected. So, friction. Why aren't I playing Ironsworn right now as opposed to Destiny? Because video games have very low friction, uh, comparable to tabletop games. And the thing is that I'm trying now to optimize the experience such that my tabletop experience can be just as fun and engaging. It is just as fun as engaging, but can be just as quick to engage in as anything else. I am 2% away from finishing this, so I'm just going to go ahead and complete. But that's basically all I wanted to talk about was the idea of friction versus activities versus the how fast does it take to set up, how fast does it take to get into the game, and how long does each of the activities take. Now that's the thing with Destiny, your activities can be quite tedious. Tedious in the sense that they're what I'm doing right now, bunch of fucking running around. You're not even fighting anything. You're just running from one spot to the other. There are five strikes in the game right now that I absolutely cannot fucking stand playing because it is all of this. It is this. It is just running around, and plus you'll have to compete with your teammates as well as any other random guardians that might be in an open zone if you're playing in the patrol zones. Um, for kills, you have to get the final blow. I have to get the final blow on this weapon in order for the catalyst to count the points that I'm putting into it. And by the way, yes, this lost sector far more efficient than doing the Shirochi checkpoint. I'm just going to tell you right now. Not to mention there's loot at the end, so guaranteed loot at the end. And there's loot that drops all over the fucking place, as you can see. I've got quite a pile of engrams building up here on the map. So What is the friction point? Do I want to start assigning a friction point to things I do versus the returns? Yeah, I didn't know. Of course, it would be subjective. Honestly, some people don't really have a concept of wait times. They don't see the time wasted in setting up and waiting for a match to happen to be uh, much of a deal to them because they have an ample amount of time. I will never say anybody has unlimited time because nobody has unlimited time. There's always a limit to time. Um, it's a finite resource, and it is what gets in our brains when we start thinking about, well, I could be doing this, but this is so much easier, and it's something to do, and I don't have to worry about all the extra shit that goes with it. Because when you wash dishes, you gotta also fucking dry the dishes, and then you wash them, you rinse them, and you dry them. And if you're really a nut and was professionally trained like I was, believe it or not, dishwashing can be a profession. Um, you are prepping the dishes first by scraping them out, or wiping them out, getting all the food off of them, and then then you're going to be probably pre-rinsing them, or trying to get all the other goop off of it. Like if you had pancakes or eggs and hash browns, which is hella starchy, um, you might be uh, having to wipe off the extra pancake and egg that left behind, and then you're probably going to be rinsing off the syrup, and then go in and put it in a dish machine. Or if you're like me, you hand wash them because I find that hand washing dishes is a lot more environmentally sound than running the electricity and the water for a dish machine. Although there are some people who will argue differently, but I go by the numbers I have based on my environment. I don't have an energy efficient home, so I have to make concessions and adjustments as necessary. And yeah, this has got to be one of the best Lost Sector designs and fucking forever. Um, for a long time, the Orrery was my favorite place to go because it was quick to land. There was a 30% chance there was a raid banner or a rally banner at the point, so you can restock your heavy and your energy weapons, heavy and special weapons. Ooh, fuck. Um, and Or pick up an actual heroic event if you felt like it, even if you're just trying to take a break from the sector. But I used to do orrery runs like crazy, and it would take about 3 orrery runs to basically get all 4 bounties for the gunsmith finished. And I found that I can, with a properly balanced equipment load, I can get all that done in one run here. Let's see if I can try to get the resonant charge on this done. I just realized this is a legendary. I can put a fucking mod on. It doesn't cost anything anymore. So I just do this. That way I don't have to keep tapping my fingers. So I'm really used to doing the exotics. You don't get to put auto fire mods on them. You don't put any mods on them. That'd be awesome if you could, though. Could you imagine that broke ass situation? So when you're selecting an activity, what's your friction when you're considering activities to do? Let's put it that way. What's your friction point? How do you rate it? Are you on a 1 to 3 scale? Like, yeah, I could do it. It's okay. That's a 1, or actually that's a 2. I'd rather be doing something else. That's a 1, or fuck yeah, I'm gonna do this. This is totally cool. I can do this. This is a 3. I would say that I would probably rate Gunsmith Bounties as a 3. No, as a 1. The lower the point, the better. The less friction there is. So I would rate Gunsmith Bounties as a 1, as in like, yeah, I can fucking do this. Let's get this done. I would rate Nightfalls as a 3. Like, the returns are not going to be that good because see, here's the returns on this. I mean, yeah, it's a rare item, but sometimes you get some special stuff. You can actually get pretty good loot. Wow, not that far off from finished. So yeah, that's kind of basically all I wanted to share. Just an idea that popped into my head because I was thinking about You know, this lost sector versus the Shirochi checkpoint. The Shirochi checkpoint has a bit of friction in it. First of all, you got to do the wish wall, and if you fuck it up, you got to do it again. Not to mention, you also got to jump around a whole bunch of fucking places to get to the fucking wish wall. Then you got to do it for each and every one of your characters. They each have to get the checkpoint if you're trying to do this on different characters. Whereas this lost sector, you just got to do the opening mission. If you've got a character, you've got this lost sector as access. You got to land in the zone, run across the divide. You're probably picking off kills on the way. If you're lucky, there's a rally banner waiting for you when you land in the moth in the Cosmodrome. I don't know what that yard is. It's not the rocket yard. Is it the rocket yard? I think it's the rocket yard. Where is this called? The steps. So moth yards or the steps will have a rally banner, but that doesn't matter because then you can just, or even the Skywatch, you can just go ahead and teleport right back here to the steps. Then you run across the divide, and then there you are in the breach. I mean, there you are in the lost sector over here, Dock 13, which technically is actually also that little subsection that nobody else can go in instance into. Oh, bang, bang, bang. Not liking this sword. I like a sword with chain reaction on it. I don't think there's any sword patterns. That's something else I'm gonna have to check into. I kind of believe there. I don't believe there is. Come on, you should have been dead hours ago. Man, I'm just not used to swinging a weapon that doesn't have chain reaction on it. I know. It's just. It feels. It feels basic. It feels weak. This is why I like swords, though. Good guard bones. I have my bombardiers on, and I don't feel like wasting time. And we die. Oh, but look at that. We got it all. Done. Alright, so now we're going to go pop back to the tower and pick up. I think that's all of the um, leveled, all of the leveling that I can do for my catalysts. I think now I have to hunt for them, which is going to be challenging. Yeah, the Forerunner Catalyst is all about getting the exotic quest from the 30th anniversary. The Might of Multitude is about doing glory games. The Callisto is about doing legendary lost sectors. That's going to be a fun one. And Leviathan's Breath is about shooting challenging enemies. Which, again, I could just go on a Nightfall with that and hopefully you get some final blows. Because that's the big thing, is that I have to get the final blow. So there's a point of friction in there. Versus, other things. So I have to find an instance that is isolated enough or low interest enough that people are not going to be, constantly competing with me for attacks. Now, the next thing is, do I have an enhancement core? No, I do not. Enhancement module, excuse me. Upgrade module? I think it's called an upgrade module. Upgrade module, see. That's how casual I am. I don't even fucking remember what the shit is I'm farming for. Yeah. So now we're going to think about, what do I want to do? Do I want to do glory matches? I think I'm going to probably do this because I don't think this or this are going to go anywhere too quickly. Le Monarch is already catalyzed, but I'm keeping it around only because it's a 1568, and I can infuse that into something else. I should probably infuse it into the Lawrence Driver or something like that. So, Leviathan's Breath, that's the one that I'm going to probably not have a good time with. I'm going to take this one with me, and I'm going to take this one with me, and I'm going to put, let's see, that's a 1568. So I'm always going to be using the Arbalest. That's just a given. I don't really do Ragnold. I don't do shotguns. I'm not a shotgun player. I try so many times, but I only ever really use them when it's like for the gunsmith calibrations. Otherwise, I don't give a shit. It's just not worth it. Just like I already have a Palmyra D. It's a crafted one too. Why would I care about this? Come on, game. Anyway, that's about all I wanted to share. So when you're sitting there considering what it is you want to do next, break it down by friction points and then incentive points. So it's like, if you feel not as strong, slightly strong, or if you have like, you can break it down like meh, okay, and heck yeah. So the lower the point, the better it is. The higher the point, the higher the score, the least likely it's going to be worth your time or the way you feel about it. And of course, this is a subjective scale. It can slide all over the place for you, depending on what your mood is for the day or what your investment time is like or whatever. So I'm going to go to the helm and pick up some uh, Crown of Sorrow bounties. It keeps pinging for me, but I don't know what it wants to do. And it normally means you got something, right? Doesn't that mean you have something there for the pickup? But it's not showing me anything. Unless, of course, it's registering this, engram, which is a possibility. It's probably that. I think I'm done here. Well, I'm talking about Raid Shadow Legends also. That's the other reason why I play Raid Shadow Legends. Is because it's got very little friction involved in it. Incentives are, getting the loot and the satisfaction of beating a level. It's that little uh, button reaction kind of thing that goes on in your brains. And yeah, it's cool, I guess. Anyway, that's part 3 of the Sunday thing. I'll probably be back with part 4 in a little while. Got this far. Thanks for watching. Maybe some ideas here spark some interest.